So exactly who is better off by how much, right? For a monopolist, economic surplus, ES is economic surplus, is area A, B, E, and F. So this is area A. This is area B. This is E and F. So for a monopolist, this entire region is the economic surplus. At Q1 and P1. So for monopolists, the quantity sold is Q1, right? That's their equilibrium quantity, and the price is P1. So with monopolists, at this price and this quantity, this is the economic surplus. What is the consumer surplus at the monopoly? A plus. Just the A plus area is the consumer surplus area. The producer surplus area is B, E, and F. So for a monopolist, the consumer surplus area is just this small area underneath the demand curve, and the producer surplus is this whole big chunk. From the quantity they are producing and their maximum quantity to the price they're charging. That whole area is the producer surplus. Okay, now for a competitive market. So for competitive market, the economic surplus by the way, this area is C and D. For a competitive market, the economic surplus is A, B, C, D, E, and F. A, B, C, D, E, and F. So this entire region is a surplus region. The price and quantity for a competitive is Q2. So the quantity maximizing, profit maximizing quantity is Q2, and the price is P2. So so out of the economic surplus, the consumer surplus is A, B, and C. So the entire region above the equilibrium price and underneath the demand curve is consumer surplus. This entire region. So underneath the demand curve and above the price the market price is the consumer surplus for competitive market. And the producer surplus is E, D, and F. Which is the area left of supply curve. So this is the supply curve, the left of supply. This is the producer surplus. So a review is that consumer surplus is price willing to pay minus price actually paid. Reservation price minus price actually paid. So price willing to pay or reservation price and price actually paid. For producer, it's price received minus reservation price or maximum willingness to sell. Deadweight loss is area of inefficiency C and D. It is surplus that could have been received, but it didn't because of monopoly. So any questions so far on this? Yes, Christian?
What does RP mean?
Reservation price. Price willing to pay. Remember we did this before. Consumer surplus or consumer benefits is equal to reservation price minus price actually paid. So I just wrote down what this is. Reservation price or price willing to pay minus price actually paid. And then producer surplus or producer net benefit is price received minus reservation price or maximum willingness to sell. And I'm reviewing this because when in the next graph or next couple of class, we're gonna change some things with producer surplus and consumer surplus to show how to decrease the deadweight loss. Okay, so let's do a problem where we have to calculate with numbers. So this is a new graph. Supply equals to marginal cost. $1,000 is the quantity for monopolists, right? And the price they're charging is $150. It's the maximum price that can be charged at that quantity. So if there is a 60 here, 160, they're not gonna charge that because it's not at that quantity. It has to be directly above the quantity, where MC is equals to MR, directly above that quantity. So the competitive price is 120, the minimum they can charge is 110. The competitive quantity is 1,600. So this is quantity, this is price. Okay. This is the deadweight loss area that we're thinking about calculating. What's the deadweight loss? The area between demand and supply and the relevant quantities. So in this case, we're going to use the half times base times height formula. The triangle formula, area of the triangle formula. The base here is, this is the base, so 1,600 minus 1,000. The height is, this is the height, so 150 minus 110. That gives you the area of 12,000. So the deadweight loss is $12,000.
That's where C and D would be.
What?
That's where C and D would be if it was competitive.
CD.
Okay.
What? C and D, the area, right? What
Yeah.
From the last graph?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This, so from the quantity, the profit maximizing quantity of a monopolist, to the right of that, until the competitive markets equilibrium begins, that is the dead weight loss area. And we calculated it to be $12,000. So this is the surplus that could have been received but was not received because of the monopoly that exists. Because there's not enough competition in the market, and there are just a certain people doing business, and they're charging the highest price they can charge. And that's causing the dead weight loss.
So, after, what is the word, after sublease, after supply?
Supply and the relevant quantities. So if you notice, at the equilibrium point of a competitive market where this is demand and this is supply, this is the equilibrium point of the competitive market, right? There is no dead weight loss. So, no dead weight loss for a competitive in a perfectly competitive market. So what can we do to sort of decrease the dead weight loss? There are steps and things that we can do that can decrease it. It's important to know that there's no dead weight loss in the competitive market. So this is a very interesting part now. How much time do we have left? What time is it?
We had 8 minutes.
42?
42 right now.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So what can we do to prevent monopoly? So because of the huge dead weight loss, we prevent monopoly. Because of the huge dead weight loss, we